Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. Mythology was built on Sanskrit root word myth, and Sattology is built on Sanskrit root word sat. So it's pronounced as Sattology, and not Satta. Satta is different. Okay, that's the betting. Anyway, English is a funny language, so you have to use T can have different things. So I have a very special guest today, and I have to read it because otherwise I will miss out something. So please forgive me if I'm not looking at the screen directly. Dr. N John Camm completed his MBBS and MD from India and MRCP from UK, and he's part of the interventional cardiology. He has done interventional cardiology, and he was awarded a membership of the British Cardiac Society. He joined St. George's Hospital, and it's a long list of achievements the gentleman has, the guest has. And then I would say that he's going to set up a John Camm Institute of Medical Sciences and Research in India, Vietnam, and Tanzania. So let us welcome Dr. John N. Camm. Welcome, doctor.
Yeah, pleasure meeting you, and it's always pleasure talking to you.
So when we talk about Tanzania, how do you choose Tanzania and Vietnam in your future list? Like,
Yes, India, Tanzania, and Vietnam. If you look at their region, they are a specific area where I feel the healthcare is not as developed. Look at the Tanzania. Tanzania is a part of Africa. If you look at the healthcare in Africa, it's still in a premature state. Uh, India is obviously, there's a lot of changes have happened in India in last 2 to 3 decades. But I still feel that there are a lot of things can be done in India as well. And also because, I was born and brought up in India. So I believe that I must do something for a country. And Vietnam, same thing. Pacific area, again, if you see this zone, Cambodia, Vietnam, there is a huge population. And I believe that there is a need of a good institution. I mean, we have 100 of them in America. In America, the bottom line is still far ahead than the highest line in rest of the world. I mean, we should accept this fact that as far as the quality is concerned, there is no match to what is happening in America. So it's important that the rest of the world also learn at least this from America, that when it comes to quality, they should try to imitate US and not just their politics. So that's the whole idea. So I'm working on these three projects.
so in America, healthcare is a privilege. It's not a right. So very few people
Yes.
can afford these facilities. So usually these facilities are used by the celebrities from other countries, any country.
True, true, true.
So in
Uh,
in
uh,
in countries like India, healthcare is a right. So there's a difference over there. What do you have to say on that?
Fundamental. Right? Absolutely, absolutely. And then, once we have this concept, we have results accordingly. The
Correct.
difference between right and privilege. When we focus on privilege, our approach is different. The governments and the organization, their approach is different. They focus on quality because that is the privilege. And when you are talking about right, the government and the organization, they become, a bit of lousy in terms of creating the excellence. They say, okay, these are fundamental right. That means everybody is going to get it. So keep it average. So that's the point which needs to be think of.
Mhm. So coming to your experience in UK and India, so were you ever interested in the history of how India got its independence while you were in India?
Yes, of course, we all have been taught history. Somehow, a bit of manipulated history. But then, we all are smart enough to get into, thanks to, internet and everything. We somehow managed to get the information, correct information, and now it's coming. For last 1 decades or so, people have started, since the internet has come, People actually have started getting the correct information. So yes, it's very exciting. If you look at the history of India, it is so exciting. I don't think no other country actually can be so convoluted and so complex history as India had. So yes, that's where we are.
Somehow, like when the Indian history is being talked about, and especially in outside of India, so only two varieties are there. There's one group is hates India, another one loves India, and both with equal passion. There is no one who has not gone to India, has not changed, did not have a change of heart. So India has a very strong impact on Western people visiting
On
India.
the border.
You know, now,
That's true because yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, you were saying something.
Yeah, because it has so many layers. India is the only country, if we look at the history, it has so many layers, both positive and negative, that nobody can actually remain untouched when it is passing through. Nobody can say, okay, I've read history, but I'm not affected. No, you can't be unaffected because it has so many layers in last 300 or 400 history. There's so many up and downs, good and bad. So one or other another just touch your mindset. That's what I'm saying is that you were saying that nobody, after going to India, people have some kind of a people form some kind of opinion, and that's the reason. Please go ahead.
So, uh, so how long have you been in the UK? Since out of
The same year, possibly when you started this channel.
Oh, okay, all right. So before that, you were in some other country, India or some other country?
Yes, I completed my graduation, post graduation.
Oh,
So in
okay.
'98, my parents, they shifted to UK.
Yeah, this channel we started in 2019, actually.
Oh, 2019. Okay, but you
This
said
channel.
1996.
No, that is about me in the US, but not this
Okay,
channel.
so same. Okay, so 1996. Okay, but I was
96.
referring to 1996.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect, perfect. Yeah, I want to clarify that just in the case. You know, so now coming to in the UK, when I visited Tower of London and many years back, maybe decades back, and the only thing I visited was the everything which UK shows is largely from other countries, and stolen goods from Africa, stolen goods from India, but their prized possession of the UK was India. Like the British Museum looks like an Indian museum, other than a couple of mummies in Egypt and other things, looks like an Indian museum. you know?
True.
And Tower of London is all about who was killed in which wall. There's no history over there. It's like a British history is a history of barbarism.
Absolutely. Looting and barbarism. Either they have looted or they have killed. It's as simple as that. There's
But
nothing else.
so what do they feel pride on?
They feel proud of killing and looting. As simple as this. If you look at their mindset,
No, yeah, for recording purposes, we are going to you'll see my logo on the screen. That you continue. You're on the full screen
okay,
now.
okay, fair enough. So, just coming back to your question, that what they are proud of, they are proud of the fact that they have looted and cheated and killed people. If you go back to the last century, you will see that uh, they their mindset is that anyone who is not British is an animal. So they have looked at the people, they have looked at the world uh, uh, to be killed or to be looted because they have this idea about the people. I mean, if you look at the Africans and Indians, what they have used this word, they have termed this word called third world country. So they had this belief that the people who have been living in India, Asia, and Africa, they were not actually human beings; they were animals. So they believe that animals can be only either looted, cheated, or butchered, and that's what they have been doing. So their pride was actually centered around that kingdom style of living. So they just butchered people and got whatever wealth from those countries and regions, and they got all the wealth and collected there in UK, and they called it Great Britain. Please go ahead. Are you there?
Yeah, just a second. Actually, the Sandra, the feed got stuck. Actually, guys, just hold
Okay.
on with us. We have a technical glitch here. It does happen to
Okay.
us too. Okay, so you said something very interesting. We'll continue. So you said something very interesting, that this is the mindset of an average British, that they have the right over others' properties and they're out there to civilize others. Now, generally in USA, we refer to them as Anglo-Saxons, and they don't like to be referred to as Anglo-Saxons because they think that we are classifying them now. But the thing is, the we know that Canada, Australia, New Zealand, USA are territories, occupied territories, where the native populations were severely discriminated against by these people. So British fought with French, Germans, Russians, and Dutch, Portuguese, everybody. And they were all allocated lands by the Vatican, and the churches had agreed upon which part will be Britain, which part will be Catholic Church, and everything. So British had a major role to play in destruction of native populations of USA, Canada, Aborigines,
Ab-
and Maoris.
ab-
So are they aware
Absolutely.
of that history or not?
Oh, yes, they are aware. There are two kind of generation. If you look at the British, there are two kind of generation. A generation before 1947 and after 47. And there is a clash of identity. There is a conflict of identity between Britishers who were before 1947 and after 1947. So that mindset, there is always a bit of clash between these two generations. The people who were born, I mean, talking about Britishers who were born after 1950 or 60, they uh, they have a different mindset. They just they grown up as a normal citizens, British citizens, like any other country. But the people who were before their 1947 and who had this 1940 before 1947 mindset, they were more like imperialistics. So that gradually that weaned off. It has weaned off much, much more than it was there in 1960 and 1970. But they are, as answer to your question, yes, they are aware. They are aware of everything. I mean, they have epitome of all kind of, as you said, the tower and museums. They have all the information what they have done to different countries. They have, so they are aware. But as I said, that new generation which didn't have the access and exposure of of what they all have done, they have become more civil and they have become more more what should say more connected to the civilized world, and they understand that what wrong was done, what wrong has been done by earlier Britishers.
So interestingly, you use the word civilized word, and you use a reverse context. So you call British as uncivilized and the world as civilized.
Oh
And
yes, indeed, I will always, before 1947, prior Britishers, they were barbaric. They're not civilized people. You can't call them anybody who just go and kill 100 and 200 people in a span of 2 3 hours. He can't be called civilized. So they were not civilized.
there is a trend in the Hollywood for going for the British accent. Something like going back to the reverse colonization, where they want to bring British accent in the Hollywood. Very common. Many British actors act in Hollywood movies. Sean Connery was one example,
Mhm.
and there are many such right now. And the prince and the exiled prince and princess of
They are also
royal
there.
family is
Yeah, they
also
are
here.
also.
Harry and Meghan.
Mhm.
Meghan. And so all these things are happening right now. So does the British and the British royalty recently, I don't call him King Charles, but Charles was appointed as the monarch of Britain. And Charles is the person representing a huge colonial legacy of
Yes.
oppressors, clearly oppressors. And the
Yeah,
British
that's
government spent $300 million
on his coronation.
on his coronation when the Britain is going through the worst financial crisis, paid by the
Yeah, the
British taxpayer.
current GDP is minus point 0.3.
Minus point
This
three.
is the status. So this is, you understand,
I,
after spending 300 million pound.
I was told that they were also part of the ISI network of using Indian currency for their profit making enterprises, like something like that. Because I was told by somebody, and I'm just referring to the third party, I may be totally wrong, that the demonetization in India affected British economy also. Was it true according to you?
No, I'm not aware, and I personally don't believe this fact.
Okay.
Uh, Demonetization mainly it affected the those organizations which were doing illegal work, who were illegally engaged, not through any any legal business, but mainly solely which were based in Pakistan.
Yeah,
So whatever business was going on,
but I
yes,
see the data, demonetization dates of India and the British
okay,
economy starting going down. Same coincides a lot.
okay, maybe, but I am not aware. I'm not
Yes.
aware of, because I'm not aware of this fact. So I'm I have no information on this. Yeah. Could be some mechanism, or could be some kind of a indirect relation somewhere. But I don't have any information on this.
Yeah. So British football fans are known for hooliganism a lot
There.
in the stadiums and other things. And the and
Uh,
the yeah, let me
Let me
finish this
clarify.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Please go.
and and the British football fans, soccer is the name in UK, US we call it. But British football fans are known for being banned in other countries from participating, whether it's Spain or Italy or anywhere else. So, is that crowd different than the other British youth, or that crowd is the old mindset crowd?
You see, no. You must understand the demography of UK in last say 60 years, 50 or 60 years. The main change that has happened in UK is that immigrant population, the mainly from Libya, Syria, and Muslim population from different Muslim and Arab countries. They have come, and if you look at the current population of Britishers or UK, and you will see almost as close as 60%, 60 to, I will say, 60 to 70% population are basically immigrants, and out of them, almost as good as 30 to 35%, they are immigrants from Muslims and Arab countries. And by virtue of their growth and the virtue of their culture, they are very violent people, both in terms of response to normal or abnormal events. They are very violent. So somehow that has affected the British viewer and British audience when they are watching a football game or any event. So the you know it's unfair to blame the British people or white peoples. I think it's largely because of the immigration population. Please go ahead.
So, if you look at the multiple cities of United Kingdom, and in my articles I wrote as small Britain, not as a Great Britain. If you look at the multiple city composition, most of the immigrant population has been kept in smaller cities, Manchester and Bram,
List
Leicester,
Birmingham.
Birmingham, and those cities have seen British. police acting very silently in front of the violent protests, even against themselves also.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
is that a culture of keeping quiet, or is it a culture of what is the culture? Why they are so quiet? Like why the police is not
See,
acting on such protests?
the idea is that there the rules and constitution, I mean, their constitution and the rules are framed to handle with the white people, the British people. There is no separate rules they have made for immigrants, but they have to understand the response of white people and response of immigrant is totally different. So far they have not any made any different and separate rules for dealing with immigrants, which are highly violent people. So if you look at the procession or protest by say white people and the protest and procession of immigrants, you will have fair amount of idea that what's going on and why I mean they are just being treated by same rules. You cannot you cannot apply the same rule of management and administration in terms of law and order to these two separate groups which have a different separate background and culture and education. They too are different groups. So most of the time what you call that you see the police is silent. Police is usually silent, whether you find them in the white group protest or you find them in immigrants. So they treat both of them in a similar manner as per the law, as per the rules, as per their constitution. But the problem is the immigrant population. They how they react, how they respond, that makes the difference.
So if the you mentioned about constitution, I think UK is the only country which has no written constitution. It's called a common law. That's why it's called House of
That's correct.
Commons. And there is a
That's correct. That's
there is an inherent racism in the Britain, where there is a House of Commons and there is a House of Lords, and Lords are the representatives of the Crown, and the Commons is a representative commoner. So there's a right casteism right
common.
there. There's the upper caste and the lower caste. The two castes in the United Kingdom.
Yes, the point I'm making is the this two division, even this two division was made only for Britishers. They have not made any separate law for immigrants. The problem is immigrants. Problem is not white people. The problem that UK is facing is not because of the white people. The law and the rules they have made only for Britishers. I mean, this is what is applying for other country, for Germany also. The constitution, the rules, the law they have made for white people. And they expect that immigrants who are coming to the country, they will follow the same law, but they don't follow. They don't follow the law.
So do you
This is
recommend to create a separate laws for immigrants, separate laws for British
so yes, I
Anglo-Saxons?
believe that they must understand this. The idea is that they are coming from a country where there is no law and order. If you look at these countries, Syria, Libya, and all these countries, they don't have any, basically they don't have any constitution. There is no law and order.
But
So
what
this
about
is
India?
now,
India has law and order, very strong law and order.
yeah, India has law and order, and that's the problem. That is the problem happening. India has made a uniform law and order, uniform constitution for practically everybody. But there is certain segment of people who feel uncomfortable. They feel crammed because of these laws, because possibly, their lifestyle is crippled. I'm talking about Muslims people in India. They want the freedom to do whatever they want, and that's not happening. And now people are very, the other community also now is very, what should I say, very affirmative on this. That yes, rule of the law should be implemented. So there is slightly, you will see there is slightly dissatisfaction. You can say there's slightly, what should I? There is a term I wanted to use. Uh, Not a disturbance, but a bit of unsatisfaction. A section in India is a bit of dissatisfied. It's only because rule of the law is being applied uniformly to everybody. Please go ahead.
So one of the uh, so what I understand from you is that for example, people who do not want to follow these secular laws and they want to follow an Islamic law, then the punishment should be as per the Islamic law.
That's they want. They want, there's certain group of people who actually are more comfortable in having those. But Islamic law is nothing. It's a bullshit. Islamic law is bullshit. There is actually no law. This is like written by some illiterate people. So basically, this is non-specific. There is no law. Islamic law is nothing. So what it does, that it gives a lot of freedom. It gives freedom to do anything. You can go on road. You go on pray on the road. You can go and pray anywhere. You can kill anybody. If you look at their system is barbaric. So basically, the idea is that culture is barbaric culture. If you go to Libya and you go to Syria and Iraq, you will understand what I mean to say. That's a more sort of a barbaric culture, and they are comfortable in that culture. So they want same kind of culture, and that's exactly is a cause of dispute. So they don't say it, but that's exactly they want, and that is the cause of dispute, because India is trying to implement that law uniformly, and it's already implemented, not trying to implement. This is how people live in India, and they have to understand this.
So coming back to the British society. Now, what do so when it comes to the colonial history and their excesses, like the looting of Africa, looting of USA also, and the looting of
Yes, they
India,
have.
the Yale University was set up with the Indian funds. All the major universities were set up by the British using Indian funds, Indian Raj, British Raj, and they routed all their wealth. And due to karma, they lost their wealth in World War II, and they lost their wealth further after that too. So do you think that the British, some of the certain section of the British, especially you were talking to the old people, who have not forgotten the colonial legacy, but they have a Hindu prime minister who took oath on Bhagavad Gita and who practices Hindu. So now
See,
what is the state of mind right now?
oh, that was a huge burn. That was a huge burn. Idea is that because he became prime minister as per the constitutional proceedings. It's not that he was just he was chosen by some people. He followed the constitutional guidelines, and as per the constitutional guidelines, he was the person to be prime minister. But then one can't ignore his history and his origin. But then, as I said, that major population, or the dynamic population of UK, has now grown out of that imperialistic mindset. They call themselves more like a more part of civilized world. But coming to your question, a huge number of people, they were not happy with the Rishi becoming the prime minister. Though it was quite obvious that it hardly made any difference both to UK as well as to India. But yes, his origin and his religion and everything was uh, quite a talk of the town for quite some time. After then it settled. It settled. Please go ahead.
See, one of the questions comes in the British. If you look at the British consumption, most of the consumption of the in the Britain comes from consumer goods, comes from China today. And
Yes.
following US or following other countries, they are also talking about China as the number one enemy. Now, Britain is such a small country. It's literally one-fourth of the population of Uttar Pradesh. Literally one-fourth. And
That's true.
probably the Uttar Pradesh chief minister should be dealing with the UK prime minister, probably
That's
in India.
that's
Or
that's
maybe
true.
Maharashtra chief minister and
Could be.
And UK prime minister equivalent position.
I think
So
Maharashtra chief minister will refuse to deal with Rishi Sunak.
But
It's only UP chief minister. Yeah, if you look at the geography and the population, I think it's only
yeah, and
because I feel that, yeah, yeah. Go
such a
ahead.
small island country, and that too a like a, on some remote, like the weather is also not good, and when I first saw the river Thames, I thought it would be like a big drain of India. It doesn't mean, it didn't look like a country what they described in paper actually. So is that a problem for the regular British, that despite having such a small country and trying to claim China as the biggest enemy, or where does this arrogance come from?
You see, there are two things. I mean, you have to differentiate between the political situation and the financial situation. These two are different things. As far as the financial situation is concerned, we must uh, understand that because of their ruling in the last century, they have accumulated so much wealth, so much in terms of forex reserve, in terms of gold. Possibly in gold, they are fourth or fifth in the world, and same with the forex reserve. So I don't think they are worrying about as far as the economy is concerned. I think they are good enough. They have large resources stored there to live for next 2 3 centuries. So I don't think the financial consideration is important to them. So the next division or next point is the political. Now, politics it's very important for Britishers and also for UK government to show to the world that they ally with the USA. It is very important for UK government to maintain that alliance, which started in World War II. For some reason, uh, they have not gained much out of it, but it is very important for them to be seen along with the United States, and also because they are part of NATO, so there are certain obligations. There are very precise certain obligation on the part of UK and all NATO members that they have to act in certain manner. They have to respond in certain manners to this political situations. So if you use USA, United States says that China is the biggest enemy, UK cannot take a different stand or different view.
So Mahatma Gandhi was used as a puppet by the British intelligence to put his views on India. No, let me finish my question. It's just I'm saying the gist of the, like I said, we are just collecting the gist of all the talks going on across the world, and I
Oh,
want to
absolutely.
hear from you your opinion. The British today rely on US to control Europe, pretty much. Same old
Oh, absolutely.
1945 Cold War politics. They want to bring down German economy. They did it. Ukraine war was a perfect example of bringing down German economy. And they made a Europe weak, and they made and US and UK are collaborating, and unluckily from them, US is also going down economically. So the de-dollarization is actually affecting US in a big way, or it's going to affect in a big way. And the Reserve
That's
Bank
true.
of India just put out a notification yesterday, and they mentioned de-dollarization in their annual report. So it's official now. It's official. No more now speculation. It's official now. The de-dollarization is going ahead, and the
Good.
British economy is going back to the 1945 tactics of colonization. So started with
Looks like.
Ukraine, supplied depleted nuclear devices to Ukraine to bombard Russia and trying to divide Russia. So the what is in the British politicians' mind, that what they hope to achieve by doing all these things, which is exposed all over the world.
You see, again, I said something. They are very secure in terms of economy. They don't bother much about the GDP because they have so many resources. Their store is full, so they don't worry much about the implication of Ukraine war. Uh, so, I mean, if you look at that, they take care of their people in terms of benefit. They have given enough benefit to their citizens, so they are happy. It doesn't matter much uh, as far as the GDP is concerned because GDP, UK never has never had a good GDP in the past. I don't think they ever crossed 2 or 3% in last 2 decades. But that's fine because of their, resources. They are fine. The other situation is a political situation. As I said that uh, this Ukraine war has affected severely to what we call is both the socio-economic status of Europe, and it's also affected a bit of limited manner to UK, but majorly it's affected to Northern Europe. I mean, if you look at the other, or rather, I should say Eastern Europe, look at the other countries like Germany. Germany has been flattened by Ukraine war. It has been very challenging to even maintain because, bits. Uh, Germany has very ordinary economy. They don't claim of having very sound resources, but so it has affected severely. Uh, Also because of the oil supply, and then the rerouting the oil through India, it is costing them huge. So this is if you look at the impact of Ukraine-Russian war, is majorly it is affecting the Central Europe and Eastern Europe. The people, if you look at the Spain or Sweden and also the UK, they are not much affected. They are not much affected what's happening at ground in terms of war. Please go ahead.
Uh, Coming back to the British campuses now, Oxford University, Cambridge University, and anything mediocre produced from those campuses. And lastly, I'll come to BBC. So I'll give you the hint because I'm covering a gist of your tweets. I'm not covering just the tweet, one tweet. Okay. So the Oxford and Cambridge have been known to plagiarize information from all over the world. And when they put the Oxford stamp on it, and I will not like to discredit individual researchers because they're doing what they're supposed to do, what they've chosen. But generally, most of the researches come out have no economic bearing on the world. And I'm not generalizing it in the sense that m- general economics works on supply and demand, like trading and other things. That's where the commodities, which has been an old practice for from the beginning of human society, not today. So, but the American universities, on the other hand, have produced significant innovation in many spheres,
Oh, yes,
in
indeed.
terms of technology, medical science, and anywhere else. And the research publications are also produce some value. There's a sharp contrast there. But the
Absolutely
British
agree.
universities have been the ideological hubs, creating revolutions, disturbing societies, or targeting, sitting in Britain and targeting India, caste. And I've just showed that British have a caste system, common versus noble, and it's still continuing.
That's
If you're part of the noble family, you're a knight or the lord or something, and you have a higher position than the rest of the society. You're almost like an untouchables. Commoners are untouchables. And look what they did to Megan when she is a black African American woman, and she had to leave the family because of untouchability in the family itself. So,
uh,
so why do
yeah.
these British universities have an ideological bent of mind, and why they focus on producing reports which have no bearing?
True. On 2 points, I don't agree. One is that in terms of plagiarism, uh, I don't think that is a part of any of the research work that is happening in whether Oxford or Cambridge or any UK university. They are very clear about it that the research work should be original. But the problem in the world, not just in UK but in US, I mean, these two are the countries which are actually involved in research. The problem is that this research is now just publication based. The research is not uh, seen now in terms of its productivity, that how it is going to be productive and how it is going to add some value to the in terms of common people. If we talk about medical research, you take the example of medical research. The medical research is the amount of paper are being published annually in US, UK, or say all over the world is goes in terms of millions, and they most of them they go into dustbin. people publish paper and they had hardly any bearing on gross medical sciences. So I agree with your point that most of the research that is being somehow it has been more sort of publication based. That okay, research means you get your publication and raise your numbers of publication and take those numbers to your institute and your hospital or your organization and get your promotions or benefits. So now the research is directly linked to the promotion and benefit. Research is not actually linked to the productivity. I mean, I'm taking a very simple example of any research scientist and Elon Musk. The difference, what difference Elon has made into to the world, and what scientists uh, in the rest of the world they have done. If you look, uh, Elon has not published any paper, but the amount of research, the amount of technology development he is doing and he has done is unsurmountable. Uh, it is so unique because his approach, he's the genuine scientist. He is actually research scholar, unlike so-called scientists in different part of the world whose only aim is to somehow publish the paper and increase the number of papers and then get their promotion and benefits. That's the approach. That's a basic approach, a difference in approach, and that is affecting that. If you look at the different sectors, say healthcare or say engineering, there has not been much developed in last 2 to 3 decades. I mean, look at the healthcare. I mean, I'm a cardiologist. I'm an interventional cardiologist. I'm using a cath lab, which actually started in 1976, and there is hardly any difference and development. Uh, you know, uh, except some few points here and there, some knobs here and there. There's hardly any development in equipments, technical equipments, as compared to the development has happened or the development has been done by Elon Musk. So yes, I agree with you that somehow the research which is being done at present in different, not just in medical field, in these university, say whether it's Cambridge and Oxford, they all have this micro vision of having a publication and then getting a promotion and benefits. And that's the reason there is hardly any innovation that has happened in last 3 to 4 decades. This is also the case in US also, but somehow they are. If you look at the MIT, I mean, if I ask you, tell me the number of research which is have been done in MIT in last say 4 to 5 decades. You can't even count 4 or 5. So that is the status of MIT. So somehow this idea of research has been misdirected into the publication and getting promotion and benefit, which has affected hugely the innovation part. Please go ahead.
So, the last question I was telling you about if you recall the last question about the BBC, and the BBC
Yes,
has been forced to pay fines in India, and they've admitted
that's correct.
to wrongdoings. Now, we all
Yes,
know
the
that
investigation. Yes,
BBC has been a part of the British intelligence operation, where they spy on the whole world to collect information. And
that's
gradually
correct.
in Africa, they've been kicked out. India, they've been questioned. So does it, and they were known to peddle lies. Now, British population itself hates BBC,
Yes,
and
indeed.
it's hated within BBC also. But somehow it had retained its brand value. So now, do you think that the BBC? I'm sure BBC will never correct itself because it's the extended arm of the British intelligence services, and owned by the state government, by the British state. So, do you think the BBC will ever acknowledge the freedom struggle of Scotland, Ireland, and Wales? All these countries seek independence from Britain, small Britain. Will ever do that, or they will just focus on other countries?
No, never. They never. It goes against their principle. The idea is that the people who are running BBC, they are very clear in their mind. So their interest is very clear. I mean, they are going to expose all over the world, but they will never speak issues of their own country. I mean, you look at if you go to archives of BBC, you will never find any program, any discussion, or even any video on Scotland, or any issue which is affecting actually inside issue of UK. They don't do that. They even don't discuss the immigration problem. I mean, forget about the forget. Sorry, yeah, forget about Scotland issues. I mean, they even don't discuss the major law and order issue. So this is their inherent policies, and they have lost a lot of reputation because of their methodology. As far as their issue in India is concerned, that was actually shocking. Though it is their normal course of operational course or functioning, but it was quite shocking to most of the people who have been quite fan of British media and BBC. So now when investigation happened and they were exposed and finally they have admitted and they are ready to pay fine, I think they need some course correction. But this is the main channel, and as you say that they are also engaged with intelligence proceedings. So it's unlikely that they are going to change their methods. Uh, but yes, they have lost a lot of appeal, in terms of their credentials, in terms of their what should I say, their influence, and the amount the people used to take them seriously, say 2 decades back, and now there is a huge difference. They have played very active role actually. They have brought down a lot of governments if you look at the last centuries. But now somehow people take BBC with a pinch of salt, and bit of skeptical approach. So I think they need to go back to their table and review their strategy, that how they can to reorganize themselves and take control of their operation in such a manner so that they can get their credibility back, and that is very important. uh, there is a definite solid dent on their credibilities as far as the India is concerned. uh, Also, I hear that there are some changes happening at the top level in BBC. One gentleman, he resigned recently, so I think new team is building. Hopefully they will do some good homework and to do better what they are doing at present. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Camm, for coming on the show today. And this video will be published shortly and with after due edits. And for all the viewers who are watching it, do like, share, subscribe. And Dr. Camm is a very leading cardiac specialist, and so these are his personal views, and I'm sure that he's quite vocal about it, and he's not scared of sharing his views. And Dr. Camm, thank you for coming on the show again, and
Thank you.
sharing with
Thank you
us
very
your
much.
views personally. Thank you.
Pleasure connecting you. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Bye bye.